Interesting. Welcome back, archery friends. As you can see, I have the Easy Green press from Last Chance Archery. This is my open and honest review. You guys know what the formula is now. I am going to give my most critical opinion on everything that we see here. What I like, what I don't like, what could use improvement. So let's get right into it. First thing, like I said, this is the Easy Green press. This is their entry-level model. I picked this up from Lancaster Archery Supply for about $4.75. I'll go ahead and screenshot the price on their website right somewhere in the area. What I also got was the floor stand for, I think it's another $280 or $290. I wanted to be able to pick this thing up and move it around and use it anywhere I, felt like I had room for it, because I mean, as you see, I'm set up in my living room doing this video. I don't have much room to move around. I can't remember the exact spec on this, but I think it goes to 45 inches. This little ruler thing here says 25 down here, and I've had it open to 42, and it felt like there was more in there, but I did not want to overextend it and end up messing it up. What I also got was these Beyond Parallel limb locks here. So it comes with these little L-shaped fingers to kind of hook onto the Beyond Parallel limbs to keep it from, shifting and moving. And then it's got these fancy little rollers that support the limbs as the bow is in there. Now, let's start with those, because that's where my biggest problem was. So, hold on, let me bring you in close. Now, unfortunately, I won't be able to remove this, because once I put it on there, it was kind of like a one-time deal. So as you can see, it's got this piece of what looks like 1/4 inch thick C-channel aluminum extrusion. And so you got these two little hex bolts here, and it just bolts on there, clamps together, and that is supposed to support the weight of the limbs on both sides, as you can see here. Now, the problem here is that there is no holes that are countersunk into this bar here. So what ends up happening is that when you start tightening these hex bolts down, it actually opens up the C and really bends the metal. So what I ended up doing is I went to the local Menards. I had to pick up some, I can't remember what size it is now. I got them laying over there. But I had to pick up some drill bits, okay, and drill my own holes. And this is how I did it. So I put this on here and lined it up exactly where I wanted it to be, and kind of cranked those Allen bolts down to, in essence, scratch a perfect circle where the bolt goes on the paint of this arm. And then when I took it back off, I used my little drill center punch thing, punched 2 little holes, and then drilled those out. And I drilled them slightly bigger than the OD thread diameter of those hex bolts. So it kind of just lines up perfectly, in essence. So I was able to put them on there. They're nice and solid. And I mean, they work. They work great. I really like them, but this could have been executed a little better. So the next main thing, as you saw at the beginning, this thing's flopping in the breeze here. So it looks like there's about a 1/16 of an inch of play on the front and back surface of these legs here, and maybe another 1/16 on the side. Now, is it that big of a deal? I mean, it depends on how still you want it to be. These aren't incredibly tight. I didn't want to wrench these things down and put a whole bunch of torque on these little shoulder bolts, to where it would literally bend this material tight around the base of the leg, because I want it to be able to come back apart if I have to take the damn stand off. If you pinch all that material down on there, when you go to pull it apart, you're gonna have to beat it apart with a hammer, and that's not okay with me. So, yeah, could have been done a little better. Could have been done a little bit better. These legs could have been slightly oversized from where they're at. Also, I almost forgot to mention, these 4 bolts here that hold the actual press to the leg stand attachment are, I had to go to Menards and buy these. The bolts that they send, let me show you. These are the bolts that they send you. They've got this little square indexing part here right below the head. Now, that's all good and well, and these kind of bolts work great when you really have to hold something in place and you don't want the bolt spinning around. Works great. Except when the holes that you have and what you're bolting are circular. At that point, you can't sink this thing down even enough to get it tight. So what I had to do was go to the store and buy some hardware that is the same thread pitch and course. I think it's 1/4 20 course. But I had to buy that and these bolts here so I could put the wing nuts on these and get this thing secured. Now it's tight and secure, and that's all good and well. So what are the pros and cons? So the pros is if you do your own bow work and you do it enough to where this is an economically smart decision for you, then this is an affordable option. And, you know, the materials that it's made of are good materials. Like, this thing wasn't made of like cheap IKEA plastic. You know what I mean? Like, the limb locks are 1/4 inch thick C-chan. All of these are, well, it looks like 1/8 inch square tube aluminum. These flanges here are 1/4 inch flat stock. I mean, and then when you look at all the welds, everything looks like it's laser welded. So as far as raw materials and basic essential construction, this thing's good and solid, and it's worth the money. Now, as far as the attachments go, the fit and finish leave a lot to be desired. All right, if you're wanting a product that is absolutely perfect and you want to buy this one, you're gonna have to spend some time doing some things like going and buying drill bits, going and buying hardware, and setting this thing up to where it's not gonna rock with your bow in it. Or, you know, you don't have to worry about these bending and compromising the structural integrity of the piece. So is it worth it? I would say yes, with a small caveat. If you're looking for something that is ultra precise, that is top of the line, that you're not going to have to do anything to get it to do everything that you want it to do, this may not be the thing for you. Now, economically, this is what I can afford, so this is what I got. It's going to work just fine for what I'm doing. I've got some little rubber booties that I've got on the way from Amazon, and I'm going to put down in here, and I'm going to tighten this thing down and hopefully take some of this slop out of it, and it'll work just fine. And mind you, when you buy just the press, it only comes with, it stops here. This leg and this base are part of the floor stand setup. So when you're buying just the press and you're affixing it to a bench mount, you're not even going to have that back and forth wobble, and you're probably not even going to notice. But for somebody that is in my position, that's the first thing I pick up on, is how well was it all, how well's the fit and finish, you know? So is it worth it? Yes, but I don't think it's worth quite as much as what I paid for it, if you understand what I'm saying. Between the stand itself, the press, and the limb lock kit, you're looking at just over $1,000 by the time you get it to your door. I don't think it's worth that much. You know, I would say something in the area of like 700 would probably be a lot more reasonable for what you're getting. But, you know, you really only got a handful of press options in the bow world. You've got Last Chance, you've got October Mountain, which is, in my opinion, a cut above what you've got here. But the price that you pay for that equipment is highly reflective of the quality of equipment that you get. I know plenty of professional tuners who tune bows all day long for a living, and they only use October Mountain products. But on the same side of the coin, I know people who have pro shops who build bows for people all day long that they've only had last chance presses. And I've talked to a few people before I made this video just to see if what I'm experiencing here is a rare case. And one of the guys I talked to, he said, I've only had last chance presses, and out of the 3 presses that he's bought from them, every single one of them have had these exact same issues. So, is it worth it? Yes. Am I happy with the product? Yes, and yes, but I could be happier, you know? And I guess what really irked me completely about this whole deal is that all of these fit and finish issues, you know, these carriage bolts on the rollers being a 1/4 inch too long, the slop down here because the material's the wrong size, the incorrect hardware, these are things that could have been remedied with about 10 extra minutes of labor and just diligence, you know? In my opinion, small mistakes like these cost you 2 things. They cost you your reputation, and they cost you repeat business. Because when people are spending, especially people like myself on a tight budget, when they're spending $1,000+ to get set up, to do stuff on their own, and then they get this thing, leaves a bad taste in their mouth and makes them not want it. You know, I actually considered returning this thing for probably the first few hours after I put it together, but I decided that I'm going to keep it for 2 reasons. 1, because I can't afford the next best thing. And for 2, I already have this here, and these are issues that I can clear up. I have the skills, the technology exists. I can make this thing work just fine. So I decided to keep it and to make this video about my honest opinion. So I gave you the pros and cons. The choice is yours. Last Chance Archery. I will link all the products in the description below. If you guys want to get one, pick one up. If not, don't. Thanks for watching.